know you know. You've seen it, experienced it, affected by it. Of course, it's hard. But this is an invitation to change it, to bounce back, to feel the inspiration. Masyado ka nang apektado para tumigil pa. Ngayon, oras na para sa mas mataas na antas ng pagbabalik at pagbabago. The hashtag Business Better Than Usual. Oo naman, aangat ka, aangat tayo. Buong Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao, kaisa sa pagbangon at pagbabago. The 58th PMAP Annual Conference. Angat, leading people to higher ground. Be the soul of change. Be the driver of encouragement. Be the fuel of moving forward. Angat, leading people to higher ground. The 58th PMAP Annual Conference. Dahil mas personal na ang trabaho ngayon.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon to all of you, to our viewers from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. At maayong hapon sa mga Bisaya. Welcome to People Manager on Camp, the online show of the People Management Association of the Philippines, the premier organization of HR business leaders in the country. Ang bilis ng panahon, it's already June. And this is our 6th episode for 2021 of People Manager on Cam. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Joan Chung. I am the People and Culture Director of Expression Stationery Shop Incorporated, and I am your anchor for today. For those of you who are watching the show for the first time, in each show we have 4 segments. It's the P, M, A, and P. P stands for People Watch, where we highlight our peers, our colleagues, the leaders in HR and business, promising or upcoming talents and leaders in the community. The second segment enables us to keep abreast with the musts in life, helping us keep tabs on the big shifts, current issues affecting our daily lives, and key learning applications, urgencies, and items that are non-negotiables. A stands for Anticipate This. These are things, events, ideas, innovation, discoveries or breakthroughs, and new trends that we need to watch for. And the last is Perk Your Heart. We talk about the lighter things, the fun stuff. We talk about health and wellness, lifestyle tips, grooming and fashion, and leisure and hobbies. I'd also like to acknowledge and introduce the committee and the people behind this online program. Of course, our president, Ms. Lynn Muki, thank you so much for your support. To COPA and the Board of Trustees, thank you so much. Of course, our committee members of PMAP's branding, marketing, and communications team, headed by Trustee in Charge, Ms. Joanne Rosary Acetre. Our editor-in-chief of the People Manager magazine, Ms. Jovenier Bataican. We also have our technical team helping us behind this show, Mackie, Delius, Jeffrey, and Sarah. Thank you. And of course, our segment hosts for today, who so generously shared their time and talent with us as PMAP volunteers. You will meet them shortly. To our viewers, thank you once again for being here, and let us know your questions and comments through the comment box. Okay, what's in store for us this month? Our topic is about readiness to go back to the workplace. Are we really physically ready to go back to the workplace? When will we achieve herd immunity? Is working from home really the new normal? Our guests will talk about their experiences to these questions. So let's go to the first segment, People Watch. We talk about the pulse of our people and answer the question, do you want that jab? Let us welcome our segment host for this segment, HR partner for Energy Development Corporation, Mr. Al Aguinaldo.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we're very lucky here this afternoon to be with two experts, two HR people who are pioneering or spearheading the vaccination rollout in their respective companies. We have Ms. Rowena Subido, the first Senior Vice President and Group Head of RCBC, and the Chair of the Yuchenko Group of Companies HR Council. And we also have Miss currently the FVP and Head of HR Services of the Malayan Insurance Company, Miss Michelle Guse, FPM CTRP. Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon, Al.
Good
Yeah.
afternoon, Al.
Yan. So let's get into business, Miss Win. So can you tell us, did your organization run a survey when the company wanted to roll out the COVID vaccination?
Yes, we did. We actually had done a lot of surveys, no, and a lot of town halls, no, to be able to to really know who are interested to get vaccinated.
So can you share to us what was the percentage of those who wanted to get vaccinated?
Well, at the end of, as I mentioned, at the end of a lot of town halls, no, and a lot of educating, di ba, of our people why vaccination is really very important. So overall, no, in the conglomerate, I think we achieved around like 85%. No, at that time, that was like April. In RCBC, if RCBC alone, if I remember it correctly, we're about like 92%, and in Malayan, if I remember it correctly, Mitch, you were like what, 94? Yeah,
Also
something.
92.
92 also, 92%. So
we started with 50%. Actually,
I know. So can you
Okay.
imagine, no? That's why I mentioned to you that we had a lot of surveys, right? So to be able to to encourage them and to more or less educate these people, diba? Why we really need to have this vaccination.
So was it just the surveys that helped increase the number of participation in the vaccine rollout? Or
No,
was it,
we had a lot
or
of town hall. We also had webinar. No, we had webinar. A lot of it actually, no, and then we even invited doctors. No, I mean the infectious diseases doctors. No, to be able to explain to our employees, no, ano ba 'tong mga types of vaccines, what it can do for you, ano ba yung mga what's this advantages, di ba? Or ano ba yung
different sa brands.
The types of vaccines, whether
questions.
it's pati nga ako natuto, Mitch, di ba? What is the difference between mRNA? Yung mga ganyan. So we did a lot of those. No, we did a lot of those webinar. So I think the key, Al, is really educating our employees. Kasi after that, parang na-realize nila, no, that okay, so it's really very important to get vaccinated.
So what was the trend? So after two town halls, the numbers increased. Did you notice that?
Iba. Ano, it's really different depending on the company. But I think what we did, no, we really like Mitch can attest to that. I'm quite makulit also in terms of like in terms of like also
series of meetings in the
series of meetings, etc. No, and really understanding saan ba yung gap, di ba? Saan ba yung yung concern? Is it anxiety or is it lack of knowledge, 'di ba? Kasi
Mhm.
'di ba in the beginning ganun din naman, 'di ba, in the country, 'di ba? A lot of, most of our people parang hindi pa nila alam, 'di ba? What is the what vaccination is all about, and then what kind of vaccine is actually safe, 'di ba? Usually yun ang mga tanong, no? So I think that's the reason why we have to really do a lot of town hall, no? A lot of really talking to the people, no? Yeah,
Nice,
about it.
nice.
Yeah.
What's good about the group is that we while we were doing different town halls per company, no, we made it available to the whole group. And so we
Correct.
were actually
Yeah.
sharing resources, no? And
Mhm, mhm.
we posted the announcements, and we did it together. So
Right.
a lot of us who started really low, but in the end, everybody increased
Yeah.
numbers.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I'm
for
actually
Malayan,
interested.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, just for
Yes, yes, yeah.
Malayan,
Please continue, Miss.
the one of the main reasons were yung health, yung mga pre-existing conditions.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Some would have preference over the brand, and then we realized that those who did not sign up, actually they were able to sign up in the local government already. That's why they
Mm-mm.
didn't sign up
Mm.
with YGC.
So how did you encourage those employees who were not convinced of taking the vaccine? Was there
Yeah. Well,
anything special that?
as we mentioned, all we do is really like make them aware, no? Make them aware. Awareness talaga to. Make them aware of how it is, how it is very advantageous for them, no, to really be part of the vaccination program, and then very very important that they know that you know we only the only objective that we have is we would want to ensure that we have a safe workplace, at the end of it all.
Yes, that's true.
Nice.
And that's why we were partners with our line heads as well. In fact,
Yes.
them were the ones who convinced their people, the team,
Yes.
diba? Parang
Yeah.
in the end, it was more of a peer pressure than
Yeah, and it's really
awareness.
top to bottom, right? The
Okay.
our chairperson, the real chairperson, the chairperson of the Yuchenko group of companies, is actually on top of this. And then down to the presidents and the CEOs, down to the group heads, and all the way down to our employees. So importante yun. That's very, very important if you have the engagement, no, of the top, and then all the way down.
Just a follow-through question, Miss Wen. I'm sure some companies are experiencing challenges with convincing their teams to get vaccinated. I'm sure your company has experienced challenges with convincing some of your employees as well.
Mhm.
Can you share to us your experience in convincing your employees?
Well, actually, maybe with Mitch team, no, like Malayan Insurance and RCBC, it was easier, right? But of course, we in the Yuchenko group of companies, we also have EEI Corporation, which is a construction company, and there's a very unique and beautiful thing that they've done there, no, in their company, wherein they came up with a video in Tagalog, no, in the vernacular, diba? So that they'll be able to cascade it down the line, because as I've said, it's a construction company.
Yeah. So I agree. Yeah, it's true that some employees may not be naturally exposed to getting vaccinated. So it's really up to the HR to get them educated. To thank you, Miss Wen and Miss Mitch. This is medyo limited lang yung time natin, but thank you for your insights. I got that it's really top to bottom. It's really the cascading of information,
Right.
the over communication, I guess.
Yes.
And reiteration of the importance will actually help us in convincing our workforce to get the vaccine. So back to you, John.
Thank you so much, Al. And thank you for sharing your insights, Miss Wen and Miss Mitch. I agree, Al, no? Those are really good numbers. And sabi nga that as with anything, no, it's really important that it starts from the top. Parang change management initiative rin siya. And I really like that there's also a conscious and consistent effort, no, to educate and communicate. And over communicating nga sometimes is really needed kasi 'di ba it's the responsibility of the giver of the information to ensure na malinaw yung message. I also really like that there's also a translation to the vernacular para ma-ensure talaga natin na naiintindihan ng employees natin. Again, thank you so much, Miss Wen and Miss Mitch. While we still have a long way to go to achieve herd immunity, meron pa rin tayong mga hybrid work arrangements. No? So some are reporting to work, some are still working from home. How do we ensure that our people are really working? Here to talk about the next topic, musts, we invite segment host, the owner and founder of Movimentum Leadership and Management Consultancy, Ms. Jacqueline Lui.
Thank you, John, and good afternoon, everyone. It is our great honor to learn from a wisdom earned over 40 years and a woman leader of breakthroughs. Our guest this afternoon is a diplomat in people management and a fellow in rewards management. These are the highest distinctions conferred to a people leader in the Philippines and in Asia, respectively. Miss Maria Elizabeth Nasol, or Beth Nasol as she is fondly called, has profound professional development starting from her BS Psychology course at UST to Strategic HR in the University of Michigan and Executive Management at INSEAD Singapore. The magnitude of her empirical transformations as an HR and OD professional cuts across different industries. Among others, her 20 years at San Miguel Corporation has brought her more breakthroughs, and in the Lopez Group of companies, where she's going to celebrate a wonderful 9 years, being the Senior Vice President and Head for Human Resource Management Group of Energy Development Corporation. She continuously transforms and brings impacts with her leadership on organizations that bring remarkable evolutions to HR and OD professionals like us, as she was the president of ODPN and CMSP for 3 years. At the current time, where data and information are powerful in guiding every leader's decision, Beth is leading PMAP's Data and Research Committee, being the board of trustee in charge. Hi, Miss Beth.
Hi. Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Jax.
Good afternoon. Would you like to say something to our viewers this afternoon before I will give you the first question?
Well, I hope all our viewers are well, and I hope some of you have been vaccinated already. No? We need that, and that's our contribution for the nation. So, thank you for giving me an opportunity to share again another afternoon of learning, no, with PIMA. It's really an honor to be with this group, and this is my first time in this particular segment. So,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, Miss Beth. For our question of our conversation, as a guide of our conversation this afternoon, the better new normal is a compelling call for everyone across the globe to adapt. How do you see people at work in the next 6 months or thrive in the next 2 years?
Okay. What I see, and this is also what we're actually projecting, is that in the next 6 months, I think we will still see a lot of people working from home. Majority will be working from home. Those will be on site or really would be in those in operation. No? And we're seeing that this is so because the vaccination hasn't been completed. No? If ever there are vaccination programs, it's really the first dose. And we're projecting, given the coming in of Astra, no, to the workforce, we will see that this will finish by end of the year. No? But there are studies that are saying that for the Philippines to achieve herd immunity, it will take us about 2 more years. So they're seeing that by 2023, that's the time that we're transitioning slowly back to a more normal phase, no? But may not necessarily be like the pre-COVID scenario, but people will start getting, better cadence, no, in the workplace.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Beth. No, so the cadence will really happen in the 3 years time. So that's really the product of the head of the research committee. It's really backed up by research that you are sharing with us. So that's really wonderful. So we are talking about workplace transformation, as you have mentioned. No, so how do you see remarkable workplace transformation today, and perhaps in the next 3 years?
Okay. What I was reading this article on Gartner, no, and this is the one that is really providing us with data in the office. They say there are basically three areas that we're looking at, no, the focus. No, the first focus would really be on productivity, given that we'll still see a lot of remote work. No? So it's very important to still sustain productivity, even if you're on remote work. The second is well-being. No? We have to make sure that since we cannot achieve herd immunity in short period of time, no? And you never know when the next variant will come in, right? So well-being is also primordial in the minds of employment. No? The third is really on prioritization. What do you need to do? What is it that you can actually do? But in all these three things, there are actually three things also that we in HR should also focus on. One would be maybe our policies or the guidance will change, no? Or the way we do things will change, given that it will be in a hybrid environment, no? Where a part of a percentage of your employees are working from home and another percentage will still be on site or will be in on the ground, no? And why do I say this? Before, we used to be fixated about time and attendance, no? But maybe this time will really be more results based, no? Given the fact that people are in different, there's flexibility in the work arrangement, no? So I think we more and more, our HR should really focus on results based work modality instead of really looking after time, no? And that might be a challenge for people at the lower level, no? So I think it's important to really train and develop people so that they can really be more results based and looking at performance measures. Second, I think, is something that we have to train our leaders now, because the leaders are the key drivers now in helping the change to happen, especially so in a hybrid workforce modality. Because leaders should be really be more trusting, no? Leaders should have a way of doing regular check-ins, so there will be a lot of conversations, a lot of communication here. We should need to check on whether there would be employees that needs to be cleared, to be helped in terms of clearing the path or achieving the results. So it's very important to really look after employees, no? And that the third is really to look in terms of recognition, reward and recognition, especially so that you need to be very creative in recognizing people who are really doing much more, because the mentality now is that I'm doing much more because I'm working from home, no? And I'm sure you feel this, that when you're on Zoom meetings, you're hopping from one meeting to the other with very little time in terms of gap, as compared to when you're in the office, you still have time to walk, go to another room, climb another stairs, another floor rather. So this, I think, is something that we will really have to focus on.
Yeah. Thank you, Miss Beth. No, that's really wonderful. No? So it's talking about what I am hearing from you are two big things, no? The systems, which talk about our workplace system and our performance management system, as well as how to reward our people. And the big
Yeah.
thing is leadership. We really have to put trust and defy mistrust, because it will really not be effective to have micromanagers or micro leaders.
Yeah, that's true. So you really have to develop trust, no? And you will have to allow them
Mhm.
to be empowered, to be able to decide, because you cannot watch everyone, no, in their homes. So you
Yeah.
have to allow yourself to empower others, and you have to give them the level of trust so that they can deliver the results.
Yeah, I think adaptability and flexibility is really a powerful competency these days, both on leaders and as well as to their team members. Yes, Miss Beth, you're saying something.
No, no, I was nodding my head and I was agreeing with you, Jack.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Miss Beth. So, with our fourth question, so with the changing business landscapes brought by the pandemic, every workplace model has become the necessary shift in coping with this global crisis. Can you share with us what are the innumerable benefits, breakthroughs that this model has contributed to the company today? And if there are tips that you can share with us so that we can sustain performances.
Okay. In our company, in EDC, as I mentioned to you earlier, there are actually three things that we're looking at. No, one is really on how can we provide better guidance, especially so we have a hybrid. We don't exactly call it a hybrid. It's a curated. It's a curated work from home arrangement. So when you say curated, there are times when you have to mandate that they have to come, no, because it's a requirement. But if the remote work can be arranged, then that is the modality that we will have. So it's curated because you have some form of it's not really full flexibility. So there are times when you really have to come back to the office. Now, one of the things that I also mentioned would be the leaders. We're preparing our leaders now. We have what we call a leaders coaching leaders, no, where there are three things that are being taught in this particular program. One is we teach our leaders to ask the right questions, no? Because in this kind of modality it's very important that you're not instructive but you allow, as I mentioned, you allow others to be empowered so that they can think, but they can only be able to have a voice and to formulate opinions and insight if you know how to ask the right question. So we have hired someone just to really focus on asking the right question. The second one would really be listening. It's important to listen because if you want your employees to be empowered, you have to give time for them to be able to share their thoughts. Of course, some thoughts are not necessarily aligned with yours, but what is important is you develop the ability to for them to become insightful, to be able to spot a data and to be able to form something about the data that they see. So you have to listen, no? Okay. And then the last would really be to provide empathy. More and more, our leaders should really be more personalized. So one of the things that is being, in fact, this was also came out in a global study of Gartner, that what we need now are leaders who are more personalized, no? Because they need to have the empathy. They have to expand their mindset in terms of understanding the condition of employees, because more and more when you're working from home, an employee has to do several roles at the same time, no? Especially the women like us. You are a mother, you are a wife, you are a guidance counselor, you are a teacher if you have kids who are still on Zoom classes, no? So you perform so many roles while you're in the house. And so, of course, with the men. So sometimes your personal task for the day, sometimes it affects your work, no? So it's very important to understand what is behind that. So empathy is another key competency that we're developing amongst our leaders. So to me, I think these three things, no, is actually helping us shape our leaders to be ready. Now, the other thing also that we're helping our leaders to prepare for is the ability to pivot, no? The ability to pivot, to be agile. In fact, we've instituted an agile HR in EDC because we wanted our leaders to be allowing people to think, no, and to be able to provide suggestions. So what we do in an agile mode is that we think about the customer. We don't finish work in terms of, you know, before, I don't know, I'm sure you've experienced having specific objectives that you start in January, you end in December. Now it's what you call minimum viable product. So you ask the customer what he wants. In a short period of time, you deliver the results. And then the meetings, they become sprints, no? Parang running. It becomes sprints because you're supposed to be able to deliver the needs of your customer. And if your customer says, no, this is what I really meant, then you pivot. So the competence of being able to shift and to focus on the need of the customer is very important. So that's something that you also develop. No? So ang daming skills, no, that we're changing already. No? But this is something exciting, because now we treat our employees as customers. We ask them what they want and we deliver what they want in the shortest possible time. No? And it's nice because, every day we have what we call a huddle. Okay, it's a 15-minute meeting, and you can capture so many things in the huddle. One of which would be you asked, what did you do yesterday? That's the first question. What did you do yesterday? What are you going to do now? Okay, that's the second question. And then the third is, what help do you need? So after that meeting, it's done. So you're not supposed to judge the person, but you just find out, what did he do yesterday? What is he going to do today? And what help will he need? And then after that, the conversation actually rolls on. So it's really quite interesting to develop a lot of new tools, no? And when you talk about, but what I'm also realizing today is that it's very important also to build the digital competence of every employee. No, you need to be able to work online. No? Kaya minsan ingit ako sa BPO diba? The employees of BPO talaga they've been working with this in this kind of platform for the longest time, no? And they have trained their people this way. So to me, I think that's something that we should do also, teach our people to become digitally savvy, because everything will already be did through the software. For example, now in EDC, when you apply, you have to go through the website. So you submit your CV in the website, okay, and then the back end of the website will be the Workday. It's a Workday. It's a software. It's PeopleSoft. It's a work system. It's our HR system, and from there you are now able to be directed to the person who will interview you, no? And then who will process your papers. So when you're already an employee, you can get your onboarding through that system, no? And then when you are already as an employee, then another system comes up. You get your benefits through another software, which is Apay. You do self-service to apply for leaves. Hindi ka na magsusulat sa papel. So it's all about becoming digitally savvy. So, we did this about 5 years ago, and I never expected that, people, it forces people to make the change.
Yeah.
Now that we're already in this kind of modality, it's easier. Because
Yeah.
now everything is done through the online. No? Interesting,
Yeah.
di ba, no, Jack?
Very fantabulous. Yeah.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
fantabulous, Miss Beth, now that if I am going to coin a word out of what you said, especially for leaders, it's leap to lead, no? Kasi you have to
Yeah.
listen, and you need to have empathy when you are going to listen, and you should know how to ask the right questions. That's the
Yes.
A. And then the P is to pivot or perish. No?
Yes.
So,
Tama ka. I like that. Can I borrow that?
yeah.
Actually.
So,
Yeah,
oo.
I
So,
like
the leap
that.
to lead. And then the D is really to be digital savvy, because if you are not going to adapt, because
Yeah.
pandemic really accelerated our development, which is really another D, as I have mentioned a while back this morning with you, that in fact there is a book on questions are the answers, no? So, and I'm very, very glad, being a transformational coach myself, that you mentioned that coaching is really the heart of leaders for now, so that they will be able to know how to honor, no, how to honor their employees and suspend judgment, and that's where they can get also a very rich contribution from their employees.
You know,
Yeah.
we started out with our leaders from operations. You know how operations are. If you're the boss, whatever the boss says, it's done, right? So it's very
Yeah.
instructive. But you know, when they realize that listening and asking the right question is the key, no? And having
Mm.
empathy. You know, the feedback now after about a year and a half of doing this, no, they're saying, you know, this is so liberating because you
Mm.
don't know all the answers really. As a leader,
Mm.
you don't know all the answers. So it's very important that you ask. But you know, because of this amor proprio, you don't ask. Because, and
Mm.
sometimes what you do is give them instruction that may not be correct, right? So there will be more lapses that way. But now that they're asking, what they're saying is it's so liberating for them because now the onus of being able to solve all the problem is not on them. And that is
Yeah.
a big, diba? It's so refreshing for our leaders, especially the men in operation. And
Yeah.
I'm happy we did this because now all of them are already going through this program. They saw how it became easier and how employees now are freely suggesting to them
Yeah.
possible solutions. So the
Yeah.
process becomes faster.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Beth. What I am also getting from you is the mind shift should also, the mental model should also take a shift, because sometimes the way we handle also in leading is also like a silo thinking that we are better than our employees. So
Yes.
it's really better this time to take down the silos and really get the contributions of our colleagues down the field.
Yes. And you know
Yeah.
what? There's
Mm.
also another thing that I'm learning on this. It's okay to ask.
Mm.
The collaboration mindset is very important, especially now in this kind of scenario. And it is okay to ask. Because if
Yeah.
you ask help, it doesn't make you less, but it
Yes.
makes you, or it enriches you because somebody else is providing an answer to you. Di ba, we were brought in ako kasi with 40 years of experience, parang the leader concept is dapat alam mo lahat, no? Or dapat laging ikaw yung bida, di ba? Parang ganon. Ano? But, it's not. It's not the way it is today. The more you ask, the better. And the more you collaborate with others, the more you are able to deliver results. And I think that's the key of
Yeah.
performance management. You collaborate and then you be accountable for the results. No?
Yeah.
And ask questions all the time.
Thank you, Miss Beth, for mentioning about performance management. So we have a question here. No,
Hmm.
so perhaps from our live feed. No, so given with this kind of model now or modality, as you mentioned, do you think the formal performance management tool will eventually become obsolete, just like a 1 year performance system?
No, I believe I'm reading a book of Carol Sanford because Carol Sanford is a contrarian. So she's offering a new. I don't know if you did it. This book is called No Feedback,
Mm.
nag-advertise pa. So it's no feed. This is something that I'm reading now because Carol Sanford is a contrarian. So she challenges the status quo. Okay. So
Mm.
what she's saying here is that you don't need assessments anymore. But on the contrary, I will. So I'm also a contrarian. Anyway, I was looking at it na from my own personal experience, the performance management tool will always be there because you need that to help people monitor the way they're doing things, no, or what they're delivering. However, you have to modify that. You have to modify that because if you're only looking at it from the context of you set the goals, you do a mid-year review, and then you evaluate in the end, di ba? Usually ganyan yan, no? Then it's not going to be effective. What we're seeing now is that one is that you have to chunk the objectives. Kailangan small objectives lang so that the person can achieve it faster. Kasi the more, di ba positive reinforcement yan, Jax, no? If you're
Mm.
able to do a task, no? And good, in a short period of time, then the more you get motivated to go into the next task. Parang game, di ba? Once you finish the task, you go to the next task. So you reward also. So I think it's changing in the modality, but the tool is still there. Okay. So what am I seeing here? You can go for short-term objectives, and you can go also in terms of short-term rewards. I also I also I was talking to one Gartner consultant kasi nga we were trying to prepare ourselves for the hybrid. Eh. Sabi niya, this, now the rewards should really be for shorter achievements of goals. Why? Because they did a global study, and in that global study, they said if you give something more than $300, no, it's the same motivation. So it's $300 for us, mga 15,000. So I was thinking, oh nga, no, maybe we can motivate people by only giving short, instead of putting it in a salary base, no, but having short but plenty. For example, every quarter, your objectives will be based on every quarter, no, and then after that quarter, if he meets the objective, then you give the person that particular amount, 15,000 pesos, and she can buy whatever she wants. Or you can put it into a Panmaya, GCash, or whatever, no? Yung mga ano ngayon. Then she has the ability to buy whatever she wants. Okay. And then set another goal. But what you do is your whole year goal, you can chunk it into quarter goals. So you have achievements of smaller goals, but at the same time, you're also giving shorter rewards. No, mas effective daw yan. Because you're conditioning the person to achieve success. Diba? So that's the basic tenet of psychology, which I think is good. Now, the other thing that you need to do when you do performance management is you do regular check-ins. You know, conversations are going to be parang a basic element of performance management. It will happen across from the time you set your objective all the way to your evaluation. And more, if you notice, there are a lot of seminars on having conversations. So there are meaningful conversations, there are conversations that, deep conversation, lahat ng klase ng conversation seminars meron ngayon. Because they realize the important thing, which is related to personalization, is checking on the person. So that's a check-in. So you do it more often. The frequent, the better. And find opportunities where you can actually talk to the person. And then, of course, the reward. Because now, people are more after instantaneous rewards. Hindi yung long term. Hindi yung mag-iintay eh. Diba? As soon as I get, because the concept now is, diba, a lot of our millennials are grew up in this kind of scenario where you have games, diba? After it's one instruction, reward, recognition. So to me, I think that's how you really look in terms of the rewards. So
Thank you.
this thing that we're doing, alam mo talaga, ang dami ko natututunan talaga, parang every day is a learning experience. No?
Yeah, that's really very rich sharing, Beth. No, so from the 40 years of experience, and then now things are really moving very quickly. So the milestones of our rewarding and treating our employees. That's also very significant. So we have to draw our milestones. Should it be monthly, quarterly? So gone are the days of a yearly, because things are really happening very quickly, and we really have to. It's the tool that will serve us. It is not us who will be serving the tool, because it's already gone. So, and then the second one, powerful for me, is the connectedness, because after all, we are human beings. So we have to connect, and as we connect, we need to have conversations. So, and what is very important is the now moment, your presence at the present time. So that's why it's called present now, because it is called as a gift. So it's called present. You have to present, to the person.
That's right.
Yeah. So given with that, Ma'am Beth, so on our last question, so in operating with our hybrid workplace model, how do we ensure our people's total well-being, and in what best way we can communicate this to them while being mindful of our people's meaningful engagement?
Okay. To me, I think it's very important that when you talk about well-being, it's the totality, no? So
Mhm.
you have to find ways by which people can do virtual exercise together, um, or do spiritual things together, or read a book together, or share a book together. So togetherness is very important, and these are the things that you can actually do when you do Zoom engagements, no? Online engagement, and that actually helps the person in terms of the well-being. Okay, the well-being also touches on how he impacts, kasi fundamentally we're social beings, di ba? So it's important that that person is able to connect with the community through a even on a work from home or a virtual setup, no? So that to me, I think, is very important. Still filling up all the requirements, no? Still filling up all the requirements of the totality of the well-being, but through other means, no? Example, no? Um, During the last Father's Day, last
Mhm.
week, last Friday, what we did was we provided some form of entertainment to everyone, no, to the fathers. No, we invited a comedian who's a good script writer, no, Alex Calleja. We invited him, and there were about we're 1,500 in the as a part of our population. So we had a Zoom, and just people watch, for about an hour as part of our celebration on um, Father's Day. We also have what we call EDC boosters in the company. No? So um, we carved out about 5,000 pesos from our training budget per person. No? And then we allowed our employees to choose anything that they want to learn outside of work. So others, they enrolled in dancing. The others, they enrolled in a sports activity like biking. They bought a spin bike, no, tapos they charge it to us. Basta ang max yan, 5,000. The others, they learned how to play guitar, piano, or even artwork, no? The others enrolled in bonsai making kasi ba uso yung plantitas and plantitos last year. So the others, basta they enrolled in something they truly like. And then
Mhm.
we have what we call EDC boosters. It's like somehow like your recital, no? So we asked some of the employees, "O, sige nga, why don't you tell them what you've learned?" So others, they showed us how to do kite flying, no? Or how to make their bonsai, or how to do calligraphy. So it's very interesting because we're able to help them discover something new, and that I think is part of well-being as well. No? So
Wow.
nice, it's a very nice activity. And then what is important is that you have your regular checks. So we do pulse survey every 3 weeks. We do a survey every 3 weeks just to find out how people are in terms of how they're coping, because it changes. You will see that there are certain days at certain weeks, no, that people are okay, happy, productive, but there are certain times when you would see that people are affected by workload or by on their personal side, no, if they're not. And then we try to encourage them to have more sleep, eat well, etc., and all that. And I think the last thing that was really effective for us was on the welfare is we enrolled in an online counseling, no. I don't know if you've heard about My Golana. We enrolled every employee, no, that they will have, if in case they like to talk to somebody who is not in the company, they can just make a call. And they are entitled to 10 free calls. It's very cheap because we negotiated it. But what I think is important is that there is somebody that a person can call on to in case there are times when you really feel that you're so cooped up. You know? So that's how we're doing it in the well-being.
Wow. That's very rich, Ma'am Beth. No, so if I'm going to put a headline on that, it's really honoring your people. No,
Yeah.
so and then honoring as well the diversity of their needs, and it
Yeah.
leads me to think how will Maslow's hierarchy of needs now will look like. It should supposed to be
Yeah.
revisited, right? There are really
Really?
diverse. Right. Yeah, as you were sharing, I really thought about it. How will the needs hierarchy now will look like now? So across the globe and also within across Philippines, no? So and also it's also very essential to really get in touch with our people from time to time, as you mentioned about regular check regular check on them now, because it's the way to survive and the way to thrive over this World War C now. So this is really a global war now. So thank you so much for really sharing this very wonderful um, experiences and practices now in your company. So as your last words to our leaders, as I have um, taken from you, leaders are very key. No? So in this uh, global economic and health crisis that we are experiencing now, what
Yeah.
particular message that you would like to share with our leaders?
Our leaders should not stop learning. No, we have to continuously do this because this is a way by which we can adapt to situations like this. Leaders should also be expansive. We should be open minded to new things and new ways of doing things. And leaders, to me, we should learn how to listen to our uh, one downs or our teammates, no, or our colleagues, no, because it eases the burden of solving things in the office if we are able to collaborate with others. No? So as leaders, we should also be role models. No? Role models of three things. No? One is that we should be performance oriented. And given that we are already on a more flexible work arrangement, we should be good models of how results can be driven in the fastest way we can. So we have to think agile. Second is that we should be accountable, no? Meaning that we should show our team that in everything that we do, we are being responsible for the results. Okay, and then lastly is the collaboration, because to me, I think nothing can be done alone. You can always do things better when you're with a team or when you're with others, and that there is no monopoly of learning. You learn from others every day. So I always remember the methodology of the leadcom, where I was a member about still a member up to now. No? We focus on three things in the leadcom. Number one is uh, in the in the mentoring approach. No, you educate, no, you provide the exposure, and then you go into the immersion. No? So leaders should be like this as well. No? You learn, you get to be exposed to so many things. So you read more books, you interact so that it's always fresh. It's always fresh, and then you immerse and take action so you can deliver the results.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mom Beth. No, so if I'm going to summarize it, it's really that we really need hands to clap together. There's no only one hand that can clap in itself. No, so in
That's
an
right. That's right.
organization. So thank you so much for very rich sharing this afternoon. Back to you, Joan.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Beth and Jack, for that very insightful conversation. Talagang very rich, no, yung sharing nila. And there's so many realizations, no, about work, work from home, leadership, performance management, performance measurement. No, parang in this day and age, there's really a shift, no, from just the ordinary attendance based dati, no, to really results-based already. And in order for us also to achieve that, kailangan merong training. We have to train our leaders. We have to teach them how to do coaching sessions. There are regular check-ins to be done. And of course, during these sessions with our team members, no, there it's also important that there is trust. No? So, Miss Beth also mentioned that there's a gamification process. No, there's instant gratification. So, if we are to measure a performance, dapat may katumbas na reward that we can give immediately. There's also importance is also given already to more so no to listening. It's not just about what you know and what we want to impart to others na parang tayo lang lahat may alam no, but it's also having that humility, I guess, no, to know that it's not we don't know everything, no, that it's okay to ask questions, it's okay that we don't know, and it's okay to to let others answer the questions as well. So thank you so much again, Miss Beth and Jack, for that very insightful discussion. At this point, I would just like to remind everyone that our 3-day PMAP annual conference will be on July 28 to 30. Next month na yan. So if hindi pa kayo nag-register, just check the information at the bottom of your screen, and there's information there on how to register. I'd also like to say hi to our friends who said hello in the chat box. No? So hi to Gilbs. Hello, Jane. Hi, Jemai. Hello, Mary Rochelle. Hello also to Benida, to Dronel, to Salome, to Albert, to Jenny Uy. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for being with us in our show. Okay, so our next segment is Anticipate This. Here we talk about pandemic as a crisis, and when crisis calls, how do we rally team involvement? Here to lead the discussion is our segment host, the Managing Director of LHH Philippines, Ms. Cecil Ramos Carlos.
Thank you, John. And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much again for joining us here in PMM On Cam. And today, in Anticipate This, we have a very interesting topic, as John was saying, when crisis calls, rallying team involvement. And I have a very special guest for this. With us here is Ms. Monette Lasala. She is the Senior HR Director of Nexperia Philippines. Monette, how are you?
Hi. Hi, Cecil.
Hello.
I'm
Thank you
good.
so
Thank
much
you.
for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for the
I'm
invite.
Yes, I'm so excited actually for this talk. And Manette, I just wanted to ask if you could please tell us a little bit about Xperia. And we would like to know what frameworks do you have in place to assess potential risks and maybe define and anticipate responses in the event of crisis.
Okay, so for the first question, let me just give you a little bit of background of what Nexperia is. Nexperia is a global semiconductor company headquartered in Nijmegen in the Netherlands. We are a stronghold of 12,500 employees. We manufacture, as I mentioned, semiconductors, and we actually have 5 manufacturing sites. The front end are in Germany, Hamburg, Germany, and in Manchester in the UK. And the back end factories are in China, the Philippines, and Malaysia. Okay, of course, all the other support are all over the globe. Okay. To your question, if we have, how do we actually anticipate crisis and all that? We actually have a very robust, business continuity policy. This was established, of course, by our headquarters, but all of the sites also has its own or should have its own business continuity program or policy. So that's really what we have. And all of these things, all types of crises, man-made and natural calamities are all actually annually reviewed. No? So for the global, they really look at the policies that we have, because we have different classification. No? So the Philippines is classified as a tier 1. Tier 1 means to say that if there is any business disruption in the Philippine factory, that would actually have an impact across the organization. So for the tier 1, we have a crisis management, we have a recovery crisis, and global also plays a very significant role in terms of reviewing the policies that we have, reviewing the processes that we have. How do we respond to a crisis? Just like, for example, last year we had two. We had the Taal volcano,
Yes,
Taal
yes.
volcano eruption,
Yeah.
and of course the pandemic that followed soon after. No? So that's what we have. It's actually very all in place, no? Kasi if we don't have this, then it would impact, of course, our clients, and at the same time the entire organization.
Yes, yes. So even before the pandemic hit, you already have this in place. And
Yes.
with this, you have um, risk management teams within the organization.
Yes. So
I see.
yes, we have that, and it's actually regularly reviewed. It's regularly audited. It's all regularly discussed. So even if there is no crisis, we just sit down together as a team, and we think of all the possibilities, no, that can happen.
Without even without any crisis, you are battle ready.
Yes, correct. That's right.
Yes,
That's right,
yes.
Cecil. So.
Okay. Very curious. What practical steps did you make to ensure that the teams are well coordinated? Communication is done efficiently, effectively, and that they remain relevant at all times. Of course, there are times that there's no major crisis, right?
Yes, yeah.
So, what steps did you take for this? That maybe our viewers also can get some pointers from that.
Yeah. For all the identified possible incidents that we have actually listed down, it's very important that you have as much information as you can about that particular incident. So, for example, for the Taal volcano eruption, for example, Pag-asa was really our best friend, so to speak. No, we had to really closely coordinate. We have to really find out what's going to happen next, and at the same time, we have a very robust communication protocols where each of the team members, especially the Mancom, already know what role they have to play. For example, in my case, I was the one who coordinated all the communication across the organization. For the continuity of supply, for example, we have our supply chain director, who also knows who exactly to talk to, who exactly to when to escalate issues, where to send the communication, who he has to talk to in terms of the customer. So it's really important that so much about the incident. Okay, at the same time, it's also very important to anticipate what's next. So when you know already what kind of incident hit you, you have to anticipate what could go wrong. So, for example, when Taal volcano erupted, we were thinking, so what if it goes to alert level 4, because it was
yes.
at alert level 3 at that time. Same with the pandemic. So when we had already when we were hearing about these things that are happening in China, we already gathered the team together and tried to anticipate what could go wrong if the virus actually, or the pandemic hits the Philippines. So what are we going to do? And so that's the reason why we were so prepared, during the pandemic. And we're proud to say that our operations were almost uninterrupted. Our employees, very especially, are very, very safe. We were able to take care of them, and they were so. What's very important is that what came out because of that preparation, that anticipation, that rallying of the team members together, they're so proud, no? It's also helped the engagement somehow pa nga, of our employees. Yeah.
Mm-mm. So you're saying, Minette, data is
Yes.
important. No? And I also gather
Communicate.
communication and identifying the right stakeholders
Correct.
and assignments for everyone in the team, no?
Yes. Because you can
Yes.
only be as strong as your weakest link, diba?
Yes,
So yes,
yes, true,
each
true.
one
Oo.
should know the role that they have to play, and of
Yes.
course, all of the members of the management team, as well as our employees, down to the lowest operator, know exactly what they're supposed to do, and that they the problem with crisis is that sometimes people just get overwhelmed by what's happening, and so communication is very, very important. And then at the same
Yes.
time, it's also important that you have the right frame of mind. No? So constantly we were on the phone, we were talking, we were on the Zoom every day. And we were very transparent as well to our employees. It's very important that if you have to rally the people behind you to be able to overcome any crisis, that they are well informed, and that they know and they trust that the information that you give to them is actually accurate.
Accurate. Mm-mm. And then, along with all these preparations, I'm sure there are trainings, there are, information dissemination to really prep the people. Yes.
Yes. We have in the factory, for example, emergency response team. So they meet regularly. We also audit our process. So there's a local audit that happens, and then at the same time, there's a global audit that happens. So you have to really look at the processes that you have in place on how to you respond to a certain incident or a certain crisis.
Yes. And with this, I think you have. I'm sure you told me, no, you've gone through the Taal volcano eruption, and then of course the biggest surprise, no, and
Yes.
crisis of them all. We went through COVID-19.
Yeah.
But even before this, things have been erupting here and there, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Little things have been happening, and then we always experience floodings. Our employees get affected in the
Yeah.
floodings and everything.
Yeah.
How do you for these little things? Do you mobilize everyone still, or there are smaller groups to take care of this?
There are layers, of course, right? But the first your first line of defense is really your management team. Because again, things happen if your core management team is so disorganized, then you can just imagine what happens down the line, right? So it's very important that all the people in the management team know exactly. And for example, in HR, if I were to use it as an example, I know exactly that I am in charge of all the communication. So when we had all of these things, we have to, I have to study how else can we reach our employees. So during, for example, the Taal volcano eruption, it's very hard to find out where our employees were. Okay, were they evacuated and all that?
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to know, you have to have the data, you have to know how to reach out to your employees. We even have data in phone numbers of all the LGUs, all the evacuation centers, so that we can track where our employees were. And then same with the pandemic. So again, the practical thing really is that you should know how to get in touch with each and every employee you have in the organization. I think that's what's really important. And then at the same time, you have to have constant, reminders. For example, you have to have reminders. At the same time, we conduct regularly trainings on how to respond to all sorts of emergencies. Yeah.
But Net, what happens if the ones affected are your response teams?
We have a second layer.
You have a second layer.
Yes,
Is there a
we have
third layer after that?
Yes.
Grabe, covered. All bases are covered.
Yes. So there's a second
That's so
layer.
good.
So example,
Yeah, because
example,
it could happen, right?
yes,
Could
yes,
happen. Your first
definitely.
responders
Yes.
are the ones affected.
Yeah, they the people should know. My boss is in this is affected. So
Yeah.
who's going to take charge? Okay,
Who's there?
so
Who's
they
next
know.
in line for that?
Who's next in line? They know. So we have that. We also have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But in times of crisis, so another thing that's I find very curious is how do you ensure, how do you balance, taking care of your people,
Mhm.
and keeping business afloat? Halimbawa talagang like COVID, it's a
Oo.
really bad. Everyone's hit really poorly, really badly with this
Yeah.
COVID thing. So how do you, syempre tayo, we're always focused
Yeah.
on taking care of our people. How do you do
Yeah.
that and make sure the business is healthy and well?
Okay. So let's use the COVID because this is really, first, no, the pandemic. It's like all your preparations are para bang kulang, no, because it's something really new. So when the pandemic hit, really, the first thing that we thought of was really, make sure that our employees are safe. At the end of the day, it is our employees. Our employees are the ones who will also help us get out of the crisis. It's actually them, no, and ultimately it's our employees who will keep the business running and will keep it afloat. So when the pandemic hit, really, the first thing that we really had to do is make sure that they are safe. So if you remember, during the first few weeks, they said that it's all closed, but then some of the factories can operate at 10%, I think, 10%, and then 25%. And so we were thinking, yeah, but if we only operate at 25%, we also have clients waiting for our products to be shipped to them. So what did we do? We brought the employees in the factory, but we made sure that the number one consideration is that they're safe. So how? We gave them individual tents. Before they can come in the factory, we had to do a medical assessment for each one of them, and then made sure that they feel secure and safe. So all of them have their individual tents. They were, they were assessed medically, and then at the same time, we even prepared toiletries for them. All of that, making sure that they're comfortable while we run the factory. And to this day, even if, for example, there are a lot of protocols that have already been sort of changed, no? And we're still keeping
Refined
making
and
sure that
redefined.
yes, redefined. We're still making sure that our employees are safe. That's the primary consideration, because our mind is in our mind. It's the employees who will keep the business afloat. And we actually, for sure, there were some cost cutting here and there, left and right, but we never really thought of letting go of our employees, because we know that at the end of this pandemic lies an opportunity, and we have to be prepared for that. And so we have to really make sure that they are with us, they are engaged, and we are able to keep them, so that when the opportunity knocks, after all of this, when the dust settles, so to speak, we are prepared. And we are not just prepared, but we are ahead. Diba, there's a saying that whatever decision you make today will affect your future.
Yes.
And so we know that the future looks bright. And so therefore, we have to make sure that our employees are with us. So we never let go of any of our employees. We kept them engaged. We made sure they're safe, even as we speak. And you know, given all that's happening, I think we're prepared for after all this pandemic, all of these things.
So, Manette, really ensuring business continuity, the processes are continue to be and the products continue to be delivered,
Yes,
while at the same time really extending, no, to make sure that the people are well cared for, or they feel that they have a safe place to work
yes,
through the pandemic.
yes. Yeah, we actually, like transportation is an issue, right? So right
Yes,
now,
yes.
so we have 50% capacity of our shuttle buses, and at the
Shuttle
same
bus.
time, we even have feeder vans to bring them to the pickup points every day.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so that they're not exposed to, to all this virus.
Kasi we have to function,
Ah,
'di ba?
yes, yeah,
And yes, and to continue also to provide work.
correct.
That's also very important to the employees that
Yes, that's
yes,
right.
they are safe, they are able
Yes,
to work. They really
yes,
appreciate that they have work.
yes, that's right.
Yes. Monette, I really enjoyed our talk. Thank you so much again for guesting here, for joining us here this afternoon. I'd hope to talk to you some more about many other things.
Okay, thank you, Cecil.
Thank you,
Thank you so
John.
much.
Back to you.
Thank you, Cecil. Thank you, Miss Monette. It's really amazing, no? Yung conversation ni Cecil and Monette really opened up a lot of insights as well on preparedness, no? As we move forward, as we plan our work, we have to have that forward thinking mindset so that everything is in place already in times of crisis, especially in the world today. No, it's that VUCA world, no, lalo na yung uncertain na part. So it's nice that there's a business continuity plan in place, and the regular review of policies, and part na siya talaga ng system, no? Like Cecil mentioned na, what if natamaan yung first layer? There's a second layer in place, and there's also another layer in place. Like you have a backup plan to your backup plan. So that's really amazing. Now, how about you? Do you have any insights or comments about the discussions that we have? Please let us know in the chat box, and we will read this in a bit. For now, I would just like to mention also that those who want to be show sponsors or segment sponsors, you may get in touch with Maki. Her contact details are on the screen below. At this point, we'll go to the last segment. No, remember last month, if you'd recall, we talked about moms. But how is it like at home with a work from home dad? But to honor our dads also this June for Father's Day, our last segment touches on the perspectives of family members as we talk about the family handbook, surviving the work from home dad. Here to lead the discussion is our segment host, HR Director of Dole Philippines, all the way from Davao, Attorney Marian Aniceto Ginomla. Attorney, hi. We just cannot hear your audio. Maybe you can check your microphone, please. There's still no sound. Can you check if you're muted? Yes, or maybe we can remove the earphones, in, unplug. We still cannot hear you. Maybe you're muted? Hindi po. Okay, maybe let's check first. Maki, can we do a tech check and then maybe let's just have some videos first?
I know you know. You've seen it, experienced it, affected by it. Of course, it's hard. But this is an invitation to change it, to bounce back, to feel the inspiration. Masyado ka nang apektado para tumigil pa. Ngayon, oras na para sa mas mataas na antas ng pagbabalik at pagbabago. The hashtag Business Better Than Usual. Oo naman, aangat ka, aangat tayo. Buong Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. Kaisa sa pagbangon at pagbabago. The 58th PMAP Annual Conference. Angat, leading people to higher ground. Be the soul of change. Be the driver of encouragement. Be the fuel of moving forward. Angat, leading people to higher ground. The 58th PMAP Annual Conference. Dahil mas personal na ang trabaho ngayon.
Okay, while we're waiting for Attorney Maris, maybe I can read some comments first in the chat box. Okay, we have some comments here. Alisa mentioned that leaders are expansive and never stop learning. They honor their people and the diversity of their needs. Excellent point from Ms. Beth Nasol as she talks about how connectedness amid the pandemic significantly impacts talent's well-being. We'd also like to say hello to Harry Luis Loxin. Ayan. Okay, so thank you. We hope that you're all enjoying the show. How are we, Attorney?
Can you check if you hear me now?
Yes, perfectly.
Oh, great. All right. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much for covering, Joan.
No worries. Have fun.
All right. Thank you. So again, magandang hapon po sa lahat ng mga nanonood. Sa mga kasama po natin who are watching us from Visayas and Mindanao, maayong hapon sa inyong tanan, all the way here from Davao City. We just celebrated Father's Day and it is but fitting that we set aside our last segment this afternoon to hear about how our dads who have also been working from home have been coping with the changes and demands of the new normal. We have a very interesting topic for our last segment, the Family Handbook, Surviving the Work from Home Dad. Even if you're not a dad, please stay on and join us so we can understand how we can support our work from home dads. And for our Perker Heart segment this afternoon, we are honored to have with us a very special guest, also here from Davao City, no other than Mr. Bernard or Bernie Alag. By profession, Bernie is an optometrist and an entrepreneur. He was elected as Davao City Councilor from 2010 to 2017. And he succeeded as Davao City Mayor in 2017 until 2019. He is currently the president and CEO of the Alag Group of Companies. Bernie is also an advocate for persons with disabilities, a proud husband to a beautiful wife, and a father of 3 kids. Sir Bernie, please join me here.
Good afternoon,
Maayong
Maris.
hapon. Yes,
And to all
hi.
the
Maayong hapon.
PMAP people here, I'm very happy to be with you here this afternoon. Thank you for inviting me.
It is our honor, sir, for you to be with us this afternoon. How was your Father's Day celebration before we start?
Okay lang po. During Father's Day, hindi muna ako naglaba at saka nagplansa. Yung iba muna,
Kaya lang the following day, may catch
up. The following day, ako naman naglalaba. It was a good day. Yeah, fun day with the family here. Sa bahay lang muna. But it was fun, no? To be with the family here.
Yes. So out of 365 days, we have 1 day set aside as Father's Day. Kasi the rest
Yeah.
Mother's Day na ulit. Sabi nila. Joke lang. Okay, sir. So of course, we know that this pandemic, forced us to change work arrangements. So lahat po tayo nag-adjust. And just like work from home moms, we know that we also have work from home dads. No? So this afternoon, we'd like to know how have you been managing work amid, how have you been managing life amid the work from home setup during the pandemic?
Sanay ako sa tao, no? I'm always out, yung nasa public service pa ako from 2010 to 2019. And then after that, nasa private sector na ako ngayon. And then during the start of lockdown, my first goal really is to make our house conducive for work. And number 2, make our house conducive for play. Let me give you a background. Dito sa bahay namin, may 3 akong anak at saka may 1 akong asawa. No? So, my eldest is 20 years old. Nasa college na siya. He's studying in LaSalle but nasa bahay siya ngayon for online class. No? My second child is 16 years old, my daughter, and she's a special child. She's differently abled, no? Naka-wheelchair siya, meron siyang cerebral palsy, and marami siyang medical needs. Marami siyang schedule sa doctors niya, sa therapy niya, no? And my youngest child is 5 years old. Daughter ko na 5 years old na sobrang kulit, no? And then meron din siyang online class. And then yung nag-iisa kong asawa, si Cherry, siya yung head ng operations namin sa business and nag-aaral pa ngayon ng law school via online. And ako, covering all the operations sa negosyo and then sa bahay. So can you imagine kami lahat, nasa screen lahat, yung eldest ko nasa screen online, yung youngest ko online, yung second ko parating na check din sa mga doctors niya, and then my wife is also studying law school. So I have to make sure that our house is conducive for work. So what we did is we converted one of the rooms as office and study room. No, tinanggal namin yung bed, ginawa naming online. And then next is pinalakasan ko yung aking internet. No, ginawa kong 80 Mbps. Pinaputol ko yung aking cable na hindi na nagagamit, no? Wala nang nanonood ng cable. So internet na lang lahat. And also what we did is to align our schedule. It's very important to respect the schedule of your children. No, kahit pa sa college yan siya, yung isa ko nasa toddler class pa, it's important na makita mo yung schedule na and to also not disturb them. Kasi kung sila nagdidisturbo sa atin, pwede rin tayo mag-i-istorbo sa kanilang schedule. So that's how we manage our household. I manage my house during this time na we align our schedule and to make our house conducive for work and play. During this time, bumili ako ng ping-pong table. Bumili ako ng billiard table. Bumili ako ng trampoline for my youngest because I want our house to be conducive for play also. Kung nahirapan tayo hindi makalabas, mas lalo na ang mga bata. No? Because part of their growing as a child, importante makalaro sila. So kung wala silang outdoor activities sa bahay, mahirap, no? I cannot imagine my children nasa online parate, online games, online school, walang outdoor activities. So I made sure na meron silang outdoor activities and may malaruan sila dito.
Sir, online na nga yung school tapos online pa parate yung natin, no?
Yung games.
Hobbies or yung games or yung play natin. Right. Sir, what were the challenges that you encountered when working from home?
Siyempre, number 1 is too many distractions, no? Maraming distractions sa bahay, maraming interruptions, and ang pinaka-challenging talaga is to shift from face-to-face interaction to virtual interaction. Sanay ako na kausap yung tao face-to-face. My style of management is really kapag may problema, kakausapin ko yung tao agad-agad, no? Kapag may operational concern or kung may mga plano, may mga meetings, face-to-face talaga yan. And we do that sa office namin, sa admin office. And right now, shifting from face-to-face to virtual interaction, malaking challenge po sa akin yan because hindi ako masyadong techie na tao. No? Sanay ako sa face-to-face na conversation and eventually, medyo nasanay na konti. Pero I feel uneasy, no? Giving instruction, giving update via online. No? Nasanay ako for many years na action talaga na makita mo talaga, no? Yung operation.
Sir, about naman po, kasi kanina pinag-usapan po natin yung more on sa work. Now, how about naman po yung family life niyo or your life at home, you know? Was there a change in the dynamics of, you know, your life at home as a family?
Yes. Number one, because ayaw kong yung anak ko lumalabas, pati yung misis ko, ako na nagro-grocery. No, I do the all the buying sa supermarket. And ang hirap niyan kasi pinapadalhan ako ng listahan na ang hahaba na listahan, no? So doing all these things are a big adjustment, no? Na make sure na ako muna ma-expose sa labas. Minsan dinadala ko yung eldest son ko, kami dalawa nag-grocery. So yung mga girls sa bahay lang sila, no? So and of course yung mga tasks sa bahay, lalo na wala na yung isang helper namin, we have to take turns doon sa aming youngest na 5 years old, no, na taking care of her, no, during sa time na busy yung isa, nasa akin yung isa, and then pag busy naman ako, si Cherry naman ang nag-aalaga sa bata. So these adjustments na ginawa namin sa bahay is very important to survive this pandemic.
Talagang teamwork po, sir, no?
Yes.
Yes. So, sir, what are the tips that you can give our viewers, especially for the dads, for them to, you know, be able to manage working from home well?
Yes. We as fathers, no, even mothers na nakikinig dito, it's very easy to assume na pag nandyan yung mga bata sa bahay, that we are all okay. Kasi nagigita mo sila, no? Kasi nandyan sila, naglalaro, online, ganyan, no? Nasa kwarto sila. But many times, we are disconnected kahit nandyan tayo magkakasama sa bahay. So that is why I suggest that we really have to be engaging sa ating mga anak. Especially sa ating mga asawa, no? We have a schedule every Sunday after dinner. Nag-uusap kami after dinner. Nag-ayos ng schedule, nag-uusap, kumustahan, and then we pray together as a family, no, after dinner every Sunday. And we also do outdoor activities. Alam mo, may tip ako sa inyo, pinakamadaling gawin para lumabas sa kwarto yung mga anak nyo, patayin niyo yung wifi. Okay? Kapag nahirapan ako magtawag sa mga tao na mag-dinner na, ang tagal lumabas, patayin ang wifi, lalabas lahat yan. No? And then you can have a conversation. And then if you will cut off the wifi for the meantime, you can talk. Alam mo, ang isa sa mga mahirap, nagdi-dinner kayo, nasa phone pa rin lahat. Di ba? But if you will turn off the wifi, the internet, you can talk. And then you can go out sa bahay. Tinuruan ko yung youngest ko magbike. Marunong na siyang magbike ngayon. And then yung pwede nang lumabas ng weekend, we do hiking together. Ito yung isa sa mga achievements namin as a family. In the last 3 months, every weekend, nag-hiking kami labas. And you know what? 2 weeks ago, last June 10 to 12, umakyat kami sa Mount Apo, the highest peak mountains sa Pilipinas, no? So, I think, Maris, alam mo yung Mount Apo, no? Dito ka sa Davao, nakikita mo yung araw-araw. It's a 3-day hiking, camping, and it made us closer together as a family. Kasama yung eldest son ko, tsaka yung wife ko, kami tatlo, nag-hiking kami. And yung mga hiking trail na mga easy trail lang, mga 30 minutes to 1 hour, dinadala namin yung youngest namin na anak. So, that's it, no? Yun po ang masishare ko sa inyo sa mga papa at mama nandito. I hope we will all survive this pandemic. Ang pinakamahirap po ngayon yung ating mental health na nasa bahay lang tayo. Take time to go out with your family, kahit dyan lang sa ground niyo. Get your tents, mag-camping kayo sa ground ng bahay. No, we do that once in a while. Kumakain kami sa labas ng bahay. Labas ng table, doon kami nag-grill ng pagkain. And these practical activities at home na kailangan nating gawin must be done in order to make sure na we are still connected to our family and updated po tayo.
Thank you so much, Sir Bernie. I think very interesting, no, that at the time na parang sabihin natin parang very low, no, for us, no, with the pandemic and all. Ironically, it was a time that you were able to reach a very high point, no, Mount Apo for that matter. So I think that's, you know, metaphorically speaking, I think, you know, that also speaks for your experience as a family.
Okay,
yes.
so thank you very much.
po. Yes, thank you very much, Sir Bernie, also for your time. Thank you so much. And of course, for your insights. I'm sure that we all learned from your sharing this afternoon. Thank you very much. Back
Thank
to you,
you.
Joan.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Attorney Maris, and thank you, Sir Bernard. I really had fun with this last segment. No? Nakakatuwa yung sharing ni Sir Bernie about yung insights niya on how to prepare the family. It's not just yung physical setup, no? So meron siyang setup ng room Wi-Fi, setup ng room, no? And then yung Wi-Fi din tinaasan, align the schedules, and making the house conducive for both work and play. It's nice na while we readjusted, no, and recalibrated for work, hindi naiiwan yung play. And I especially like that idea, turn off the Wi-Fi. I should try that at home, no, para yung mga kids hindi rin, para mabawasan yung gadget time nila. And going to our comments, we have a viewer here, Sir Harry Luis Luxin. I think he can really relate, no, with Sir Bernie. He said that syempre utos ng wife, no? And then also from Miss Vanessa Bellarmino, good job, Daddy Bernie. Okay. And hindi raw tayo maka-escape talaga sa household chores. Okay. So, at this point, if you'd like to read more and learn more about our session today, we have a digital copy coming out by the end of the month of the People Manager magazine. If you want to download your own copy, go to www.peoplemanager.ph. For those interested to join the People Management Association of the Philippines, check out the details on the screen below. We are also open to sponsors, either as segment sponsor or as the show sponsor. And for that, please contact Maki Cordero at maki.cordero@pmap.org.ph. Remember also that the PMAP's 58th Annual Conference is in July. For details, please stay tuned to the videos after our show. Now let us welcome back our hosts for today, Al, Jack, Cecil, and Maurice. What are your key takeaways for your respective segments?
Ladies first.
Who would like to start? Actually, maybe we can start with Cecil. Hi, Cecil, you're on mute.
Sorry. So I was gonna say pa naman, John, ladies first, I'll go ahead. Ikaw lang
Oh,
nag-iisa dito.
sige na nga, sige na nga. I'll be a gentleman. Okay. Well, actually maganda yung point na sinare nila Miss Gwen, no? Na it's really important for us to educate our employees on the vaccine. Dahil totoo nga naman, ang mga employees may not have that experience in their lives na nabakunahan. So it's entirely very new to them, the concept of vaccination. So they're very unsure of what they're getting into. Kaya totoo, maganda na tulungan natin, let's educate our employees on the benefits of having the vaccine. So, yun, I think that's a good takeaway. And ang isa pang magandang key takeaway is over-communicate. Totoo nga naman, pag nanggagaling sa taas yung communication, tapos makulit, mako-convince ka na nga talaga. So, yun.
Thank you so much, Al. How about Jack na lang next, no? For musts.
Yeah. Okay, so as I mentioned, no, it's more of the lead to lead, no, in our discussion. So the lead is to really listen, have empathy, and then be aware of the self, and then pivot or perish. And of course, you have to put the plus, which is digitally savvy. And people's well-being is the most important key for us to move forward in fighting against this World War C. So those are my key takeaways in my discussion with Beth.
Thank you, Miss Jack. How about you, Cecil?
Well, for me, what my biggest takeaway in this session is really in order for businesses or to keep our businesses thriving, no, as we strive to thrive, we need to be prepared. No? So prepare ourselves, arm ourselves with the right data, right systems, and make sure always to look out for our people and for our organization to make sure that everything, we have a response, we have systems in place to overcome any crisis that comes that attacks us. Attacks talaga, no? Yeah.
Kaya nga, attack talaga.
Oo, prepared. Feeling ko nga Girl Scout ako ngayon. Yan ang gagawin ko.
Alright.
Si Miss Monet was my former boss, actually.
Oh, nice.
I really enjoyed my talk with her. Ang daming no. And then the programs that they have in Nexperia is really interesting also.
Thank you so much, Cecil, for that sharing. Next, we'd like to hear from Maurice. What are your key takeaways for your session?
Yes, of course. Being in the pandemic and working from home, has left most of us working from home or staying at home. But it's not enough that we're physically home. It's very important that aside from just being physically at home, we really set aside time, to spend with our families, being with them, being present with them, and it really takes effort. It's not just about just letting things just happen without putting everything into action. So you really have to invest with time, with effort, to make everything work during this pandemic. So mahirap pero kaya, and just like what Bernie and his family did, 'di ba? At this time yun nga na you would think that everything's not going our way, but guess what? They even climbed Mount Apo during this pandemic. So talagang it's really up to us, what we can do with the situation that faces us.
Thank you.
I think
For me naman, actually, ang ganda ng mga sharing, no, from all our guests today. But I most especially like also the sharing na it's about the listening, how we listen, we empathize with our people, and also yung readiness, yung preparedness natin in any situation. And of course, as with anything, let's not forget to have fun as well. So thank you so much to our segment hosts, Al, Jack, Cecile, and Maurice. And a big thank you to our viewers and listeners, and of course, most especially to PMAP. I am Joan Chung, your host for this month's episode of the People Manager on Cam. We hope that this session was helpful, especially for those of you who joined us today. But don't leave yet. Stay on and watch the videos of our invitations. Stay safe, everyone, until our next episode. See ya!
I know you know. You've seen it, experienced it, affected by it. Of course, it's hard. But this is an invitation to change it, to bounce back, to feel the inspiration. Masyado ka nang apektado para tumigil pa. Ngayon, oras na para sa mas mataas na antas ng pagbabalik at pagbabago. The hashtag Business Better Than Usual. Oo naman, aangat ka, aangat tayo. Buong Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao, kaisa sa pagbangon at pagbabago. The 58th PMAP Annual Conference. Angat, leading people to higher ground. Be the soul of change. Be the driver of encouragement. Be the fuel of moving forward. Angat, leading people to higher ground. The 58th PMAP Annual Conference. Dahil mas personal na ang trabaho ngayon.